done a hardware test. I should definitely have done a hardware test. But here we are. It's working. Right, somehow the music seems to be working as well. I guess I'm just gonna keep that on in the background. I don't really mind. Anyway, hello. Welcome to the most inconsistent stream you will ever find. This is the second day in a row that I'm streaming, which might not sound like a lot, but it is to me. Yesterday, I spent around an hour and a half giving maybe way too much information about the Blacklight project, or maybe it was just enough. However, I guess today, I again don't have a plan, but the idea was to at least get a little bit of work done. So I'll just be working on stream, basically, just going through my things, going through my cycles, checking out the script, maybe taking a look at some auditions. And in the meantime, I guess if anyone drops in and wants to ask something about the project, then I'll answer questions, if anyone drops it. Otherwise, I'll just be here, I think. I didn't announce anywhere that I was going to stream, which I probably should have. Yeah, I definitely should have. I guess I'll just throw a message out here. There we go. I think that's something. Yeah. Okay, I think we're good. So, what I'm gonna start by doing is I'm just gonna go ahead and pull up my Word docs. These are all my school documents. Yeah, let's just go to the script. Oh, wow, okay, that's really bright. I'm sorry if I'm like flashbanging anyone here. Actually, let me do a quick something. Because there is something that I completely forgot to do. Actually, maybe that is in screen. I'm gonna just do a quick test. Test. Does that show up? No. I don't think it shows up. Okay. Let me just. There we go. Yeah, not what I'm looking for. I guess I need to figure that out. I don't remember how I do that. Like, how all the other streamers have their little chat up in the top right corner of the screen or something, usually. I don't actually know how to do that. So, I'm just going to leave it there. The only other thing I'm going to check is I'm going to check my OBS to see if there's anything I can do about it. See, display, game, no. Image slideshow, no, not at all. Media source. Scene, text, capture, window capture, group. Yeah, I don't think so. Alright, in that case, I'm just going to pretend that I didn't see any of that. Alright, let's just pretend nothing happened. Oh, wow, it really is bright. It's nighttime for me, so this is burning my eye sockets currently, but I don't really care. Alright, I'm just going to start working on this thing, and if there's someone who ends up having questions, I'll just move over to that. Okay. Let's see, what was I doing? I'll just be talking to myself while doing this, because that just makes it easier. And right now I've got a good excuse to be talking to myself anyway. Alright, yeah, okay, so this is the end of the chase scene. Right here, I just dumped in most of the dialogue from the actual AO3 story, so a lot of this is unchanged. I ended in some narration, and the next thing I was going to do was figure out how much of the actual AO3 story I was going to involve. So I guess that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just going to pull that up on my second monitor here and just open Archive of Our Own. Alright, there it is. Okay, let me explain. The audiobook is going to be done in chapters, which is the same, well, not in chapters, in episodes. Initially, the plan was to simply have one episode per actual Blacklight chapter, but the thing is, Blacklight chapters are quite short. There's not a lot in one of these. Like, this is Renegade, this was the opening chapter, and it was like, well, maybe like 500 to 1,000 words max, right? It's not a lot, not a lot. And I figured, no way is it going to be good to just have like 1,000,000 episodes by the end of this, because not even all of the chapters are in here. There's 22 chapters, and I'm not even halfway done. And there's no way I'm gonna have that many episodes, right? Besides, then the episodes will probably end up being like maybe 10 minutes each, and I want to offer a little bit more than that. So we're gonna look at which chapters should probably be in episode 1. The first one that comes to mind for me, the first two actually, the first three that come to mind for me are An Eye for an Eye, The Nightingale, and Contender, because they serve as intro chapters. For example, here we have An Eye for an Eye. Spoilers, in this chapter, it is Raven meeting the Overseer for the first time. We talked about Raven yesterday. Raven was this very Raven is the leader of an organization called the Collective, who are information brokers, and this is Raven talking to the Overseer, and basically the Overseer is paying them to give them a certain amount of information, and Raven has moral qualms, and that's why he's meeting up with the Overseer, because he wants to hear it and like see the Overseer and kind of, I guess, halfway tell himself that it's fine, but also know who he's talking to, because nobody knows who the Overseer is, and to be able to say I talked to the guy is impressive, right? So that's also why Raven is there. It's for bragging rights, and it shows in a lot of the dialogue. He kind of maintains that snark even though he's dealing with someone who is obviously really, well, ruthless, dangerous, but he does it anyway. And it's important that he maintains character even in the face of this, because that's the main driving point of Raven, right? He is not afraid of the other factions. Maybe he secretly is kind of scared of the Peacekeeper Force, but he doesn't show it. He can't show it. They can't show it. Raven is a non-binary character. Yeah. Okay, so alright, let's move on to how much of this should be in the episode. I think at least the first meeting with the Overseer should actually be in the episode, but I don't think it should be the first encounter. Like, actually the first appearance of the Overseer. I think the Overseer needs to have a bigger entrance. Just immediately, like, punch it in there and drive it home just how big of a presence this person is. So I do want An Eye for an Eye in episode 1, but I don't want it to be the second chapter in the episode. So I think we're going to readjust, and we're going to pick a different chapter to be the next. Right now, we've just had a chase sequence. It was someone breaking and entering and then leaving. So to have another breaking and entering situation again might be a bit much. I could slow down and just take the actual chapter 2, which is Viper. But Viper is a bit of a weird chapter that needs a lot of adjusting if I want to put it in an audiobook version, I think. Out of all the other options, maybe just having the aftermath is a good idea, but I never actually wrote a chapter about that. I don't think I ever did a specific chapter about the direct aftermath of what happened there. I kind of just left it open because I was going to do something with it later. I was just going to let that be a thing to be filled in. Okay. I think the most important thing here is that we need to introduce the Overseer. And right now, where is the Overseer? The Overseer is at the Eye, which is the big old base of operations that they have. And I need to show what the Overseer is about. Okay. I'm having trouble with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just where does this end? He looked out through the kitchen window, see the burning tower in the distance. I should go back to the burning tower. Did I ever mention that there was a burning tower? No, that's like the first mention of it. So, right, because the burning tower, what that is, it is the fallout that happens after Contender, which is chapter 5. Contender is kind of happening simultaneously with Renegade. I think I also ended an eye for an eye. No, not an eye for an eye, but I think I ended a Nightingale on that same thing. The tower. He looked out of the city as a spy, wondering if either would ever fall. Much time to wonder, however, he would not have, for the sky suddenly lit up with a cloud born from red powder. Yeah, so that's the same burning tower. I think I'm just going to take... I could take the original approach, which is where I first put in all of the individual perspectives, like the tower, like just everyone doing their own thing, and then move on to Contender, where there's the actual centerpiece happening, which is the extraction of the artifact. So I think actually this might be a good approach, what I have here in the actual documents. I'll take... What would be a logical conclusion? Because he stole from Forever Tech. I guess I should probably pull in Viper anyway. I think that might just be the logical choice. Ooh, okay. That's difficult. Viper, this chapter is a bit of a difficult chapter. Because it's very like fever dreamish. There's a lot of haze. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this chapter probably be mostly like music and noises, and then maybe with a little bit of dialogue. A little bit of dialogue, and then maybe like, what, like 2 or 3 narrator lines? So, okay, we're just going to place an imaginary line here. Yeah, I'm just going to place an imaginary line. Okay, Okay, actually, let me redo that line because that's messed up. Please? Oh, it's this again. Thank you, word. Love you, word. Everybody say love you, word. This kills me, man. This kills me, this program. Okay, you know what? Fine. I'll let it be the 3 dashes. Okay. Um. Okay. To start a Viper, I think we go from this really calm place. How do we transition this? Because right here, we're looking at the tower, and the reason it works in the actual normal edition of Blacklight is because they're individual chapters anyway. You're going to a different page. So, because you're swapping to a different page, it's easier to kind of just close that scene and start another. But when you're listening to an audiobook, it has to flow more. I hope that comes across as logical. It has to flow better because there's no obvious end to a scene. It kind of just happens, right? So I think if this ended with the narrator, it needs to continue with the narrator until there's a logical kind of step down to the new chapter. So I think I'm just going to to follow up with another narrator block. Do I just take the text from the original Blacklight though? No, yes. Wait, stay there, carry him, make some sick heartbeat. To open his eyes and look upon. I think maybe this probably can work. But there needs to be more, because this doesn't flow. So, okay, it ends with the burning tower. And then it says, knowing that there was still to come, what there was still to come, knowing Nick hardly knew at all. Knowing that there was someone still out there in the bowels of a different hell. I could do this, because this is fine, right? Because you transition from a burning tower, so like burning fires, which is akin to like the burning depths of hell, and then you can move it over into the bowels of a different hell, and then you can kind of frame the nightclub that Dorian works in as his personal hell. That's one way to do it. Okay, let's frame that for a second. I'll just keep that as an option. And then let's have another option. Because that's playing off of the Burning Tower. And then we can also play it off of... because like it's playing off the Burning Tower, but also of the last bit, right? Like the knowing part. I could also add something to that. Knowing that Nick hardly knew at all. He sometimes wondered if anyone knew. Because then you can like, he sometimes wondered if anyone knew, and then you can transition it into saying like Dorian knows, because if anyone, like Dorian has this inside perspective since he has the whole thing going on with the overseer. He sometimes wondered if anyone knew. And then you can shift it back to the narrator. You can say, like, he sometimes wondered if anyone knew. Ooh, I'm having trouble transitioning that to Dorian, because it's kind of like, how would Sage, which is the narrator, right? The narrator is a physical person. I should probably have explained that. The narrator is actually a person who exists within the story and trying to kind of tell how the narrator would refer to Dorian. And I think since Sage knows the Overseer personally, it's probably referred to as their little bird. So probably like he sometimes wondered if anyone knew. Luckily for some, there was this little bird. This little bird caged between black lights. Caged within black lights? Like within or between? I guess within black lights? It's like in a beam of lights, right? Caged within black lights. Forever singing and beating his wings to a song. A song being important here because a lot of the Evermore, which is the overarching kind of world, is about music. It's all about songs, all about music. Like in like the old proverb in this world is "I hear you" rather than "I love you," because it's kind of like listening to someone and giving them your full attention is kind of seen as this big honor. It's like saying forever singing and beating his wings to the song immediately solidifies Dorian as this person who is very in touch with, I guess, what's going on around him, right? And then we can move it into the base, so we can say like, let's continue this chain, right? Like these are different chains. I guess I'll divide them. Like these are different chains, and we can continue this chain, and we can say like to a song that was nearly drowned out by its own bass. And we can say, then we can say, this is still difficult. I think I'm going to settle this for a second, and we're going to just have another thought. So let's keep going. And then we'll place another here. Yeah. Okay. Okay. What if we have built further on knowing specifically, and then just immediately transition it to Dorian. We have taken the Burning Tower aspect of that line. Another way is to disconnect it completely. I guess I should just put that in here. I'll just take this, because this is one way to do it. We'll just take this line and just dump it in here. Because we could just have like, this is really cliche, and this is personally my least favorite way to do it, but you could just be like, chapter 2. Just have the narrator say chapter 2, right? Because then you immediately just divide it. That's another way. Oh, nope. No, not what I meant. And then, let's do another one. How else can we transition this? How else can we transition that into the next chapter? Is the music too loud, by the way? I'm just gonna assume it's not too loud. I'm gonna assume it's fine. And if it's not, I guess I'll notice in the VOD and then next time clip it at a lower rate. Okay. Alright, so let's say we just forget about this. Nick slid out of the ground between into the darkness of the hallway before heading down the stairs and into the basement. Because that's where Nick sleeps. Nick has a basement room. And then we can say, like, transitioning directly from basement. That's actually a good transition to a think it was Birds of a Feather that did that. Or was that... No, it's not an eye for an eye. It's Birds of a Feather. No? Yes? Maybe. I don't remember which one it is. It's not Scalpel. It's not the whale. It's not Trigger. It's not Shell Shock. Not Protector. It's probably Birds of a Feather. In Birds of a Feather, there's this moment afterwards. No, wait, it's before, because this is the line where this is the moment where Dean has that line. It's before the actual shot gets taken. It's Scalpel, I think. Yeah. Okay, so this is where that is. It's kind of set like the collective base being in the basement of that same club that Dorian works at, so they kind of like keep an eye on him, you know. Specifically, Rook being the one who keeps an eye on him, but Rook is just a person who's already just the frontline defender of the place, not in a bodyguard way, but more in like an eye in the sky kind of way. Okay. Okay, yeah, there we are. That works. We can just punt it in. Yeah, so we could say we're not transitioning to Dorian at all. If we're not transitioning to Dorian at all, we can just go into the basement right away. Then we just because it's easier in the sense that it's the same kind of physical place. It's both lower floor, but then also it's just completely out of left field still, right? So I don't think that's going to work. Besides, it doesn't really make a lot of logical sense to move on to the collective right away, unless I want to follow up on the flash drive arc, which is what started here, right? So... Ooh man, this one's tough. Don't reckon any of you got any ideas, huh? Okay. What if he were to rewrite this? Because he is like, oh, that's right, you would know all about letting go, wouldn't you? Upon a frown, to which his script weakened. Knowing that there was still to come, knowing that Nick hardly knew it all, and then we could just say, fuck it, adding another line. Then we just lengthen chapter 1 a little bit and make it flow better. That's also just a valid option. We don't have to completely transition. So... Nah, that still doesn't make any sense. Ooh. Okay. So that's definitely a problem with the format. Well, it's not a problem, it's just it's like an aspect that I didn't think about. Smoothing over the transitions. Because it's more like a movie now, since you're listening to it. Unless you just say chapter 2. I guess that makes it a valid option to just say chapter 2, right? Okay. So here's what's happening. I'm just going to leave this here in the draft, this like kind of notes section. I'm going to just leave it and I'll come back to that. Alright, I'm going to just be mulling that over in my head, I think. But then the question being, what to do now? Okay. Man. I do want to continue working on this because I don't want to just drop it entirely for this evening. It is the Blacklight stream after all, and I don't want to take away from that. So, what else needs to be done? I guess having the script reading, but that's going to be later. Since not everyone's going to be available right now, so that's just going to have to wait. What else can we do? Could just play a game. Would that be fine? Just like moving over to playing a game for the stream? Nah. Let's just continue writing. Don't have anything better to do anyway. Let me check something in the background for a second. Because something popped into my head. Yeah. Okay. Alright. This last option kind of speaks to me. It does in a kind of weird way, because this last one, knowing someone out there in the bowels of different hell, it highlights that Alex is very much aware of where Dorian is, and I think that's important. Alex is not oblivious. Yeah, okay, let's just run with that for now. Then I'll delete all this, and we'll just take this outcome right now. Oh, what the hell? There's like 4 viewers. Do I have tabs open? I probably have tabs open. Do I have tabs open that are currently like checking out the stream? Yeah, definitely. Okay. I think so. Somewhere in the background. Alright. Because if you just go with the hell option, knowing that there was someone still out there in the bowels of a different hell. And I think that should be... I think this should be here. So let's punt that over there. Oh wow, that just... Never mind. That just completely messed with the flow. Get back in your cage. Alright. Don't ask me about the weird formatting of the script, by the way. I don't know what I'm doing. Division. Narrator. I guess I should mention here, like, chapter 2. And then we'll, like this, make it pretty. Oh no, now it's weird. Okay, that's better. Alright. There's someone still out there in the bowels of different hell. And now it's fine to just completely transition into Viper, I think. I think we just can do that. So let's say we use the original lines, right? Let's say we just use the original section of Viper, which is right here. Ta-da. The base. Important question being, is this the way that Sage would describe this? Because I don't think it is. So we might have to make another division here and then rewrite this in a way that Sage would say it. Knowing there was someone still out there in the bowels of a different hell. This little bird, though, had a tendency to chirp all night anyway, and that's why we liked him. There we go. That's better, probably flows better. The bird tends to chirp all night anyway, and that's why we liked him. Cold concrete floor. Because where this is going is we need to work towards the point where Viper is, like Dorian is talking to the Overseer. That's the important scene here. And in order to work towards that, Viper needs to do something to call Overseer in, which in this case is killing someone. Chirp all night anyway, and that's why we liked him. He danced too, though, and that's why they liked him. I think that's pretty decent. I think that's probably the best way to do it. And then we can move on to king himself into the air. Like we can just do this. King himself into the air and tang his body with the pole to wind back down until he felt the skin upon the hard concrete floor. Until his head back and arched his back to open his eyes and look upon them, he saw him there, the one he wanted, more than anything, but just for that night. That's it. I think we can just add that here, and then we'll oh, that's weird. That line is just gonna still be there, isn't it? Like no matter what I do. Funky. I remember doing that some time ago and I finished with it like for an hour and I just couldn't get the line to leave. So we're just going to take all this and then I'll add the rest manually. It's probably the easiest way to fix this. No, not free can go. Just for that night. Alright, then all this can leave. Because now this all just fits. Let me do my checks again. I need to check Casting Call Club from time to time, just to make sure that no additions are coming in, and if they are, I need to make sure I check them out. Just decency, I guess. Okay, well that's classic Casting Call Club server timeouts. There we go. Alright, nothing new. Okay, let's ignore it. Alright, continuing on, right? Entangling his body with the pole to wind back down until he felt his skin upon the hard, cold concrete floor. When he tilted his head back and arched his back, that doesn't flow. When he tilted his head, I'll just do this for now. I'll probably come back to that later. When he tilted his head and arched his back to open his eyes and look upon them, he saw him there, the one he wanted, more than anything, but just for that night. Okay, that works. Actually, that's fine. Okay. Do I just immediately focus on the businessman? Like, do I just immediately focus on the person that he's looking at, or do I? because that's where the direction is going. Like you're kind of pushing the direction towards whatever the object is that he's looking at, and in this case, it's a person. So I should probably talk about the person. Um, from the dark of his suit to that almost insulting black tie. Fiber almost figured him. No, that's a yeah. Figured him for Mona rather than a client. Viper almost figured him for Mona rather than client. Not that it mattered in the slightest. For beyond these flashing lights and the churning bass, it was all just another funeral. So he threw his body around once more, climbing to his feet and catching the man's eye again. No, that's too much. Climbing to his feet. Ending his routine. With another wink in the man's direction, left the stage, headed to the bar. Alright. The actual chapter in Blacklight is pretty suggestive. There's really not a lot of room for interpretation there. Pretty much nothing. Which is fine on AO3. AO3 doesn't care. I don't know how streaming platforms are going to like that though. Should probably play it safe, right? Yeah, I should probably play it safe. Okay, let's shelve that for now. Yeah, let's shelve that for now. Because I'm going to have to figure out how much of it I want. Do I want to just go the full mile and basically say, okay, whatever, we'll get it there? Or do I take the safe approach? I think it might probably be easier to just take a safe approach. Because then I also don't have to do all of the chapter. It's the easy way out, but it's... I don't know. Okay. I'm not gonna decide on that right now. That's probably more like a Friday night, slightly alcohol-induced decision, you know? So I'm gonna leave that here. Move that to the next page. I'll also ask some people about this. I'll just like talk to the VAs as well and tell them what I'm doing here. Specifically, I guess Dorian's VA should know about this and like what I'm doing here. Because if he doesn't like it, then I can just toss the idea out and I can reapproach it, which is also fine. It might actually be more fun to just rewrite the whole thing, but then I need to be sure that it's worth it. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Wait, what's this? a bloody second. Ah, no. No, not what I thought it was doing. I saw an option. I saw an option to like change chat settings, and I thought that I had accidentally just found how they do it, but I don't see it, so yeah, okay. Not that anyone is in chat, it doesn't matter, but I noticed it and I was checking it out. Okay, yeah, so about chapter 2, about Viper, I'll have to inform the person who I got for Dorian. Let's see, that's the Overseer. Yeah, it's funny, by the way, because I think the Overseer is currently watching this stream, so that's funny. If you are, hello. I don't think you've heard my voice before, so that's a first. Welcome. All right. Maybe. Oh, hi there. Yeah, there you are. Hello. Hello. Actually, maybe you're like doing something else in the background, which I don't mind. Not at all. I don't really care. But I guess I'm just gonna start talking about your role now, because there's actually some things I need to figure out about the Overseer. So I'll go and do that now. Alright, because let's go up here. Up here we have a list of character info, of which there's only 3 characters listed so far. But this is not my actual character sheet document. I have a specific document for that. Honestly, I don't remember where it is. So instead of looking for it half an hour, I'm just going to pull out a new document. Okay. Let's make your character sheet. Alright. Let's just use Aptos, because why not? We'll just use Aptos, and we'll charge it up a little bit, and then we'll just do like character sheet. Wait, didn't I have a template for this? I feel like I had a character sheet template. Yeah, I did. Once upon a time. Yes, there it is. Yeah, this is for a different project, by the way. This project was called Lead Ripper, and it's completely separate from this story. So we're not going to linger on that. We're going to just follow this template. So let's not do Aptos. Let's do Times New Roman. Then we'll do 14 middle, and we'll say Blacklight character sheet. And then we'll just have the Overseer here, and we'll just, for the sake of formatting, we'll do it like that. Why? Because why not? Okay. I'll just like open up the Lead Ripper stuff on my other screen so I can keep an eye on that. Let's just start with your general profile. We're going to just fill it out. Like so. Alright. Yeah. There it is. Okay, what's your name? Your name. Right now let's keep it on the Overseer, because I still haven't fully settled on what I want to do with the actual identity of this character. So I'm just not going to spoil anything. Alright, full name, just going to leave the overseer here because who cares? And then nicknames, I guess. Seer, Knight, and we have I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Seer, Knight, and then we have I guess we should put title of. No, wait. This is a different kind of title. So I guess in a way the title of the overseer is actually the overseer because his name is just the same as what he does. It's just direct descriptor, right? And I think maybe we could do something better. Title, probably do something like Knight of Eyes. That sounds cool, right? It sounds edgy. Is that the right amount of edge? I think that's the right amount of edge. So, what's your gender? Non-disclosed. Non-disclosed. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what your gender is. And neither do I have to know, because right now it's irrelevant. If I inevitably want to do the actual reveal, then I'll revisit this file. But age. What's your age again? You are actually 26 years old. Right? No, wait, you're the older one. You're 28. Okay, you're 28 years old and your occupation is what is your occupation? You're just like BKF commander. That's just what you are. BKF commander. Appearance. Always wearing a set of Kevlar combat armor. Complete with masked helmet. Helmet that boasts an LED screen. LED screen is LCD screen. What's the difference between an LED and LCD screen? This is the kind of stuff that you have to look up when you're writing. What's an LCD display? A liquid crystal display. Here, look at this. This is the kind of stuff I just have to randomly research. Liquid crystal display. Oh, it's in Dutch. Let's yoink. Okay. Liquid crystal display is a flat panel display. What other device uses light modulated properties of liquid crystals combined with polarizers. Okay. Can this be curved? Oh, apparently they use that where I live. That's kind of cool. Okay, so okay, yeah, so that's like stuff like this. That's not really what I'm going for. So what is an LED display panel? Yeah, okay, so that makes more sense. That's what his mask should be. So then we say both helmet that boasts an LED display that always shows a big red eye which follows the overseer's actual gaze. Okay. Alright. There we go. Also, let me check something again real quick. Doing like a million things all at the same time for no reason, but here we are. Okay, we're fine. Okay, the bow's an LED display that always shows a big red eye, which follows the officer's actual gaze. Okay, fine, all well and good. That's really all of the appearance details that we need, since he's never unmasked anyway. At least not yet. That's not the file that I wanted. Oh, whoa. Steam just started on its own. That's great. Thank you, Steam. You can go again. Goodbye, Steam. Alright. Alright, yeah. So we had the other one, which is here, the lead ripper sheet. Arc outline. That's probably important. Arc outline. What are your goals? What are your goals, Overseer? What are your goals? What are you trying to do? Did I ever tell you what you were trying to do? Did I post that in the actual thing? I think I did. Did I? Manage projects, view public page. What do you all see? Oh, you see this. Okay, yeah, makes sense. Alright, so... Top dog. For me. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, but that's not your actual goal, is it? I think we can both kind of tell that that's just like... That's the front end of things, but we don't actually care about the front end of things, do we? Because what matters is what's actually happening. The actual goal of the Overseer is basically controlling Cordam's underworld in the name of the Crimson Eye. Now this is all probably going to sound like gibberish even to the VA who's supposed to voice Overseer, because I've never mentioned this. The Crimson Eye is, for all intents and purposes, this kind of cult instance. Kind of like a cult. Yeah, that's fine. That's an okay descriptor. It's a cult, and they want to do things, and in pure cult fashion, they're trying to control things. Which, of course, the easy way would be to say that they're just trying to control things because it gives them power. That's not really the way to go for them. They don't really want that power. There's something more to it. They need something from Coradam specifically, and in order to get that, they need to like put a leash on it. So there's actually more to the Crimson Eye. It is, yeah, I'm not gonna talk more about it, but let's just say there's more to it. It's not just like the Cult of Cosmos from what's it called, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. There was this cult who was just basically trying to control the world for the sake of controlling the world, and then they were Templars, and their point was that they wanted to basically bring about a utopia by controlling everyone. Like they thought that the way to make everyone happy was by making sure that there were no more lies, that there were no more secrets, and like that's kind of, you know, their entire thing. But yeah, it's not about control to the Crimson Eye. Alright. What's your motivation? Why are you doing this? You're doing this for the reason... how to voice this? Because it's in my head, but now I need to actually put it into words. Which is a good exercise, by the way. If you ever struggle with character outlines, write it all down. Force yourself to write it all down. It's incredibly boring, in my opinion. I hate it. But I force myself to do it because, one, it's important to your VAs if you're making it into a project like this. But even if you don't have anyone to share it with, it's important to yourself as an author. It's just a good way to keep track of everything and make sure that you're not missing something. And that's the main reason why I do it. Okay, so why do you do it? One, it's your loyalty to the Crimson Eye. You are loyal. Why are you loyal? You are loyal because um, you believe in the message of wanting to, like, I guess right now, for the sake of not going on a 500 word tangent, we're just gonna say um, believes in the goals of the Kims and I on a philosophical level, or now on like on the personal level. And then also wants also blames the city's underworld for what happened to the city. It's like basically the downfall of the city. Like they blames the city's underworld for the absolute state of Cordam. That's also a good reason. And then antagonist as conflict. Like what's stopping the overseer from actually getting to this goal? Like why didn't this happen? Well, the direct antagonist is of course the fact that the actual actual underworld is fighting back. So direct antagonist, the militia. That's the main threat. The militia are the main thing that's keeping the peacekeepers at bay. But what's personal conflict? Like, why is this not happening? Cares too much about the well-being of specific people, which is a weird core flaw, I guess, for someone like the Overseer to have, because there's this unstoppable force that I was talking about. So basically, nothing should put this person on a leash. Yet he is immediately crippled when it's about people he loves. Make sense? It really doesn't. Like, why does a person like the Overseer even still have family? You'd think that someone so unhinged probably doesn't really have any ties. I don't know, maybe that's too absolute, but I don't care. I don't really care. I guess for now I'm just going to leave this in, and I'll expand on that in the actual story, and I'll get back to you about it. Alright, that's the arc outline. This is the absolute most bare bones way to make a character sheet, because if we go back to the Lead Ripper character sheets, they are on average 4 pages. On average. This one is 6 pages. This is the main character. You can see how many additional notes there are. If you go down here, we go to additional notes. It states the beginning of the character arc, like the exact beginning just described, and then the exact end. And then further, it gives a bunch of additional notes as to things that need to happen before this end result is achieved. So also this is just taking out the typos. All right. All right. You know what? Ooh, that's a lot of spoilers. That's a lot of spoilers. There's a lot of spoilers for Blacklight. Do I do it anyway? Do I talk about it anyway? I don't know. Should I? Probably not. Would it be the responsible thing to do? Yeah, probably would be. Would it be the fun thing to do? No, not at all. You know what? You want spoilers? You want spoilers for the thing? Okay. There's luckily no one watching. However, the people who I think watch my VODs are probably also going to be the one listening to the audiobook. So I'm sorry. If you don't want to hear this, this is your final warning and you should plug your ears or close the stream, I guess, which will make me very sad. But I don't care. Well, I do. I do care. Maybe a little bit too much, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Um, since the Overseer is still in the chat, I'm going to tell you right now. At first, this wasn't going to be a separate role at all. This role was going to be a shared role with Alex, because you are the same person. Alex and the Overseer are the same person. You see now how it's complicated? Yeah. I made the freak choice by saying, darn it, we're just gonna make 2 roles out of this, because I wanted to see what people would come up with, and I just thought it would be fun to have an actual full-on villain role. This means that no longer is it as simple as Alex and the Overseer are the same person. It's just not that simple anymore. There were some things I was thinking about. First of all, there was going to be the possibility of simply having the filter on his helmet being more elaborate. Just completely change the voice. That was one way of doing it, and then just have it be a last minute reveal. Another way I thought of was I could yank it back into the supernatural corner, because there's, like, historically speaking, in my works, I always have like some amount of supernatural stuff or magic happening. And I figured, surely I can bullshit my way through this, right? And I could bullshit my way to the finish line, but that wouldn't be as fun. So instead of doing all of those mental gymnastics, I decided on secret option number 3, which is procrastinate until the scene comes and then wing it. So I guess that's what we're doing. Yes. So, I could also just completely change the identity of the Overseer. I could just say, fuck it, we're not gonna have Alex be the Overseer. We're going to just make it a completely separate character. But I just think that wouldn't be as interesting. But now we can change this character sheet, right? We can go back to this character sheet and we can revisit it. Like, if it was Alex. If this is the same person, then who is this? This is Alex, Seer, Grey. His nicknames are Seer, Knight, and Owl. With the title being Knight of Eyes, gender/pronouns is male, age 28, occupation BKF commander slash manager of internal affairs. What's it called again? Forever Tech. Appearance, that's his armor's appearance. Actual appearance, brown hair, blue eyes. I guess. What was the original way I drew him? I think it was brown hair, blue eyes, and then it was like tone/athletic form with actually like not really that tall. I think the original was like he actually has heightened boots, which I found so funny. Am I still gonna do that? Nah, I think this is fine for now. I'll get back to that. I'll probably do that because I still think it's funny. But now we can go back to the outline, right? Because now we can just say it as it is. The arc outline. The goal, controlling Koradam's underworld in the name of the Crimson Eye. Motivations. Believes the goals of the Crimson Eye personal level. Also blames the city's underworld, not necessarily for the absolute state of Koradam, but more so for the death of his parents and all subsequent events. Like, that's the kind of clashing point between Alex and Nick. Nick blames just kind of like just the world around them and like saying like, okay, they died because of the unsafe conditions at Forever Tech. They died because the government didn't put in place the actual guidelines for safety, and they died in the end in the name of someone's money, right? Like they died because someone wanted to earn some extra money by saving on those guidelines. Um, so that's Nick's approach. But then Alex's approach is no, the reason that they died is because Forever Tech had to make all of these business decisions because they had to deal with organizations like the militia and the collective who were just like poking holes in their infrastructure, you know? So like he kind of blames the militia most of all. Which is of course quite the mental gymnastics if you consider that their parents died to a workplace incident, an accident even. This wasn't caused by militia, it wasn't caused by the collective doing something, it was actually just a workplace accident that ended up being the death of two people. And um, these mental gymnastics happen because Alex got into contact with the Crimson Eye, who kind of told him whatever he needed to hear to become this version of himself, to become the Overseer and do all these things. So there's some indoctrination happening there, right? Manipulation. This also kind of changes the antagonist, because it's the militia that cares about the well-being of... cares too much about the well-being of his family, specifically Nick Gray. There's the conflict. And then we can mention the... we could go and do like the beginning of the arc, like arc details, and then we say like beginning. Where do we start? Who is the Overseer at the beginning point of the story? Oh, also thank you for following Silent Cell. It helps. It helps. It does. When the funny number goes up, dopamine goes up. Okay. So, yeah. Uh, what's the beginning of your arc? Do I want to do this? No. Am I going to? Yes. What's the beginning of your arc, Stylen? Keep those dopamine levels up. Yes, they're currently going down because I'm now realizing that I have to vocalize my plans. The beginning of your story starts with Alex being in charge of the militia. Beginning, the Overseer is put in charge of the, not of the militia, but of the PKF, and immediately tries to get a grip on the city. That's the start. That's what you're doing. He tries to balance his hatred for the underworld with his love for Nick, who is an active participant in said underworld. right? That's the starting point. And he has to go from that to... He has to go from that to... Honestly, I'm not sure if I want the overseer to die. I think he has to die dead. There you have it, I guess. Like, goes from being in charge to being dead in the span of 20 chapters. No, but what changes? What changes? The main thing that changes is that he inevitably he gets driven into a corner by the Crimson Eye because he eventually has to like cut himself loose, basically by the puppet strings. He has to say, "I'm not working for you anymore. I'm leaving. You can't do this to me. I'm going." That's the beginning section of his arc. That's kind of the climax of his arc. After that, things go downhill because he doesn't have direct support of this big network of people. So he has to fend for himself, and in doing so, there's like this rising amount of corruption within the PKF that starts to happen, and he has to fight that. Eventually, his own lieutenant ends up shooting him because his lieutenant doesn't believe in what he's doing anymore. That's the way he dies. So what needs to happen for his lieutenant not to trust him anymore? Because apparently the lieutenant is completely fine with going on these elaborate expeditions and like doing all these bad things like human trafficking, manipulation, blackmail, like dealing with crime syndicates just to get more control. Apparently the lieutenant is fine with that. So what is the tipping point? Why is it no longer acceptable? I guess when, like in a very Machiavellian way, I guess when the ends no longer justify the means, right? So what happens that makes the ending no longer worth it? I guess that happens when the cruelties that they commit are no longer for the sake of progress, but rather just for the sake of cruelty on its own. So the line between um, baseless cruelty and utility gets blurred to a point of no return. Point of no return. The overseer drops off the mental deep end, causing his lieutenant to lose faith. Faith. Which ends with a bullet to the brain. That's in very basic terms. Obviously there's more to that, and there's just this big grey area of things that has to happen first, but that's the gist of it, right? There has to be a certain tipping point where it's no longer worth it, and that's it, where it's just the line gets blurred too much to the point where his lieutenant can no longer tell if the things they're doing are worth it and has to put him down. Which is also simultaneously kind of a mercy kill, right? I'm saying right as if the people watching / listening to this are going to know immediately what I mean, but trust me when I say it, it'll land on its feet. Do we want to add some additional notes? stuffs. Um, do we have any additional notes? That's probably a pretty good question. Do I want to do this right now? Not really. Oh, wait. Good distraction. I know a distraction. Please, save me. No, okay. Sad. Okay. Please keep in mind that this version of the character sheet, by the way, is to be taken with a grain of salt, because this is kind of the overseer as written, but I have been redoing and remodeling so much of the story to accommodate for an audiobook that this might also change. Okay. I am starting to reach the end of my rope, which is funny because, as you can see down here, it's not even 11 o'clock yet. The end of my rope is like approaching more rapidly each night. Alright, just gonna save this for now. Just gonna Blacklight character sheet for the overseer. And I'll actually put it in my normal OneDrive. Like so. Okay. Is there anything else to talk about? No pressure, Stylin, but like, do you have any questions about the project? Like, anything you wanted to know about the story or something? Because right now, I'm like approaching the point where I'm gonna like turn up a random line from the story and just talk about it. No pressure. It's also fine if you don't have any questions, but I just kind of figured I'd ask. I don't have anything. Okay, makes sense because I don't either. Which is funny because if you look at here, clearly I have plenty to yap about. I guess we could talk about Renegade. Like, how did the story start? Ooh, funky. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this dialogue. Do you see how it's written? Like, I don't know how do you say it? It's like written like a text box, like a not a text box, a chat box, almost like a. Then maybe Alex's stuff should be on the other side, right? But it's like kind of written like a text box, a chat box, text box, chat box. English. English is weird. I speak it. I speak fluent English. I do. Okay. How did this start? It used to be. It used to be. Just me unloading all of my. Do you remember? Like, do you? The people who are watching this, do you remember the time when the Hunger Games became popular? The Hunger Games, when that was a thing, and like suddenly the interest for dystopian, teen coming of age stories suddenly like, spiked immensely. Everyone was just eating it up, and I was too. I was so invested. I was so invested, in fact, that dystopian stories became some of my favorites. In English class, I read like 1984, and I also read what's that other one called? like I read Animal Farm too, but that's not really dystopia. That's like commentary. 1984 Fahrenheit. I read Fahrenheit. I read The Hunger Games a bunch of times, and I was also a big fan of what's that story? Um, I don't remember. There was another one. It was like this dystopia, this utopia. It looked like a utopia on the outside, but then if you like dig deeper, they were like all on drugs. Like there was something to it. They were all on drugs and they were super happy. Was that 1984? No, it's not 1984, right? Is that the same story? I don't remember. Whatever. But I got really interested in those stories, and I got so interested I started actually making my own uglies. Ooh, that could be it actually. Uglies book. Is that it? Is that it? By Scott Westerfeld. The government provides everything, including plastic surgery operations. Yeah. I think this is the one. Gremlins. Oh, and this is different, but like this is definitely the kind of thing I would be interested in, right? This is definitely the kind of books I used to read, and yeah. Inevitably, I wanted to make my own kind of dystopia, and much like any young world builder, my main interest were the fucked up factions you could make. Because what's more fun than designing your own little private military? So I was like, okay, that's cool, we're gonna do that. And I thought of these. I'm gonna take this out of the screen because it's burning my eyeballs. We're gonna go back to my screensaver. Shall we do the thing? That streamer? Oh no, not what I meant. That streamer named 4 who like does everything in Paint. No, I'm not going to do a shameless ripoff. I'm not going to do a shameless ripoff. I'm going to do something worse. I'm going to take out the notepad and I'm going to do it like one of those really old YouTube channels that I should see. And I'm going to put it like over here and I'm just going to talk about it. So yeah, I was trying to make a dystopia, and I don't know if it's even readable, by the way. Format, word wrap, font, and font is going to be like 26. Okay, yeah. So it was going to be a dystopia, and I was really interested in those factions specifically, like any young fantasy author, I suppose. And when I started digging into what makes a faction fun, to me, it was facelessness. Like, it needed to be this faceless thing where there's a virtually unlimited amount of people fighting for the same thing, and you don't know who any of them are. They're just doing their thing, and you're doing your thing. Of course, it's also a really easy way to not have to actually outline any of the characters. But me being an OC, like as I name it, an OC teenager, I had plenty of OCs. And who was a fun OC I had? The Overseer. So I just combined the two. I was like, okay, that's cool. The Overseer is already this kind of like faceless person who's this big, scary dude, and it fit perfectly into what the PKF was becoming. So that's what it turned into, the PKF. Peacekeeper Force. Which is honestly kind of like a basic idea. And this was years ago, right? This was when I was, I think, 13 or 14 years old. I pitched this idea to myself and maybe like 2 classmates who would bear to listen to me. Which is also, by the way, like one of those classmates who would listen to me rant about this for hours had a very similar obsession. So it was funny. We were just like basically throwing ideas at each other, and it was the time of my life. We used to post on Wattpad, like making collaborative pieces of writing, and it was honestly it was the best. I used to be in contact with him more. He goes by an alias as well. My alias is River, but his alias was Nathan Baker slash Echo. And Echo, um, the last thing I posted from him, because we share the website domain, kind of. The last thing I posted of him was the Tale of Kessler, and I used to proofread it and check for grammar issues, and I would post it on my website under his name, of course. And the Tale of Kessler was the last thing I got from him before he moved on to other things. He became a scriptwriter for this big ASMR community. He currently runs the ASMR Script Guild, I think it's called. Let me check what it's called. Yeah, the ASMR Script Guild, and it's this place with how many people? Like at least a couple hundred people, right? It's just a couple hundred people in a server, and they're all script writers. And he had so much going for him. I was actually thoroughly impressed with him. He made it way bigger than I did in a very short amount of time. When he was making the script guild, I was still messing around with personal stories, right? And I think he actually earned quite a bit of money just from selling his services via Patreon. I tried following him. I didn't do very well because I just didn't have a platform, and I was so shit at maintaining a platform, and he wasn't. He was great at just like putting himself out there and getting all this traction, which was very cool. Still very impressed. And I don't know, everything was going too well, I guess. It was going so well that the universe decided to spite him, and he got very, very sick. I don't know if he's okay with me disclosing everything, but he's an IRL friend of mine, and for the longest time I was so sad because we had fallen out of touch. We hadn't talked in maybe like at least a month. And suddenly, no, that's not true. We hadn't talked in like a week. We had spoken the week before because we were playing D&D together. He was the DM and I was just there doing my thing as a player. And I remember getting a call half a week later saying like, yeah, Echo got hospitalized. He's on the intensive care right now, or emergency care, and it's not looking good. And it was really bad. It was so bad, actually, that for a second, it looked like he wasn't going to live. It looked like the end of the road for a month, maybe. Yeah. But glad to say, he's doing better. He actually got better somehow. He's not fully okay. But he's doing better. He's making great strides. Without going into too much detail, it was head related. It was like head injury, and he, for the longest time, he was in a coma, and he had like epileptic attacks. He was like being kept in a I was going to say virtual coma, but it's like in like a plastic coma, where they were keeping him under with meds. And then whenever they'd take him out, he would get epileptic attacks, so they had to put him back under. And then one day, they put him on a different cycle of meds. I think it was actually experimental from like some kind of uni. And they put him on the cycle of meds because they had nothing to lose. And they put him on it, and they take him out of the coma, and the epilepsy stopped. And he woke up. With a lot of coaxing and a lot of help, he ended up waking up. And the epilepsy didn't go away fully, but it stayed away long enough for him to just be able to slowly get his body running again. Because what happens when you're in a coma is your entire system just shuts down. So for a while you can't really breathe on your own. You have to just build that up again. And that was maybe a month or two ago, him in a coma, maybe a bit longer, like a month or two, three, maybe longer. Just, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, no longer, like a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago already, I visited him at the hospital ward, and he was able to ride around his own wheelchair, which is just a massive step. He was able to ride around his new wheelchair, and I heard recently from another friend who went just before I went on vacation, I heard that he is able to walk on his own for short distances. And learning to walk again was off the table just half a year ago. But he did it, and he can walk, which is great. But I'm honestly very scared that he might never be able to pick up this thing he had again in the same way. He's been gone for almost a year, and I think his girlfriend actually took over running the server for him. I just hope he can pick it up again, because his creativeness, he went to art school for God's sake, right? Him being so creative and doing these writing projects and making these scripts and doing voice acting things, that was his world. Like always drawing things, making D&D campaigns, designing monsters and weapons, that was his thing. And I'd be so sad if he lost that. Maybe forever. Although, at least the creative part of his brain is somewhat still functioning, because he was able to recall an OC he made years ago, I think. And he was able to draw that OC. It didn't really look like her, but like between the rough shapes and the fact that he was recalling details, it was impressive how he could remember those things. And it gave me hope, because I figured, well, if you can remember all that and draw her even, then surely, you can remember about Kessler and give us another chapter. And yeah, I'm just going to hold on to that. I'm just going to hold on to that. Yeah, definitely. And I would love to have Echo back on board, just also on the platform. I would love to call Echo in maybe for a live stream or something and just talk about his projects, and if he's got any advice about writing scripts or what he thinks of Blacklight. I would love that, because honestly, I would love if he could come on this stream and just I could show him what I've been working on. I think that would be really cool, because I've never done anything like this before. I've never made an audiobook, and just me writing a script, I think he'd find it really fun. Yeah, time will tell. Maybe one of these days, right? I got sidetracked so bad. What did I get sidetracked about? I was talking about the Peacekeeper Force, and then I just suddenly started about Echo. Oh man, what was I talking about? Wow. Where did it come from? Oh, right. I was saying that I was talking to Echo at school back when we were like 12 years old, and we were just pitching these ideas to each other. So the original version of this story was called The Cunning, and The Cunning was the name was inspired by that video game that went around at the time called The Culling. I thought Culling. I thought this here, The Culling. I thought that was a cool name. So I was like, cool name, obviously. And then I made it The Cunning. And I barely even understood what cunning meant, because at the time I had an okay English vocabulary for my age, like it being a second language and all, but I barely knew most of the words I use now, and I didn't know what it meant. Now I do. And the story evolved. It's no longer just about two hacking groups, because that's what it used to be about. It used to be about two hacking groups running from the government, and then the PKF were going to be the government. That was all. It was incredibly fun to work on. It was so two-dimensional, but it was so fun. And for the longest time, I didn't trade it for anything. Until I moved on to bigger things, and I made the Evermore, which was years later. This was when I was 18 years old. So 6 years later, I made the Evermore, and it was basically this overarching world slash set of rules and parameters that applied to all of my stories. So now all of my stories are, unless explicitly stated otherwise, they all take place in the Evermore, which has rules. And the Evermore was going to have a main storyline called When the Stars Align. So, when the stars align. What's WTS? WSA? Is that better? WSA. Let's call it WSA. And When the Stars Align was going to be divided into 3 distinct parts. 3 distinct eras. The first era was going to be this medieval dark fantasy kind of thing. Which I will call the Staterian era. Which was dark fantasy. And then second, it was going to have the Cordam era. Which was the same world, but years, like centuries into the future. And this was going to be dystopian filler. Let's yank this. There is actually another era. There is another one. It's called the Nebula era, which is going to be sci-fi. And the main reason that it was going to have 3 eras was because I couldn't pick. I couldn't pick. I loved all 3 of these ideas, and I loved all 3 genres so much. I didn't want to choose one, so I just said, fuck you, I'm going to do all 3, and then I did all 3. So that was When the Stars Aligned, and I loved the project so much, but I never fully got to experience it. In a way, it was, here, wait, I'll show you. Something got out of it. It wasn't completely left unsolved, because I made something. I'm about to reveal my real name, but I don't care. It's linked to my company name anyway, because River Writing is actually my company name. If you look up my name, and then you look up Fireweaver, you'll get this, which I made. Yeah. 2 years ago. 2 years ago. When I was 18 years old. It says, by the way, it's currently unavailable, but that's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's not actually unavailable. You just need to like hit it again. It'll show us available. But yeah, this was the first installment of the actual Evermore and When the Stars Align. It was set in that first era, in the Staterian era, so it was dark fantasy, and it's 72 pages, which is short, very short for a novel. And the reason it was that short was because I really wanted to finish it before turning 19 years old. And I got so invested in finishing it on my 18th that I ended up making it significantly shorter just to not have to edit all that. Honestly, if I could go back and make a different choice, I probably wouldn't, because this was a really big learning curve for me. It showed me immediately what I actually found important about making stories. At the time, I thought what was important was talent and showing that you can do it, and like basically holding it up for the whole world to see and saying, I made this. But that's not the point, I've come to realize. So one day I will go back and I will rewrite the entirety of Fireweaver. I'm willing to make that promise. One day I will do it. It might be years from now, but I will do it. And I will turn Fireweaver into what it was meant to be. And I will release Moonborn, I will release Steelborn, and I will go back to all of these other ideas I used to pitch for myself. Actually, it's not just a promise I'm making here. It's actually also something I'm already doing. Because Blacklight wasn't always an archive of our own post. Before Blacklight was anything else, it was an installment from When the Stars Align. The first one was going to be the Blue Throne, Flameborn, Guardian, Overseer. And what does it say here? In letters that are barely legible? Blacklight. The original name was Blacklight. And I went back to it. I didn't want to let it go. So I put it in, and I was like, fuck it. We're doing this anyway. We're doing it scared. And I did it scared. And that's how I made all this. That's where this came from. This is the same story, but in a different format. I let go of all these expectations I was putting on myself to make something incredible. And I was like, if I believe that in order to make it great, I have to push myself this hard, then it's not me. So I stopped pushing myself and I rethought the entire thing. And that's part of the reason why this is made in text box format, in chat box format. Because that's just the easiest way to make dialogue, as far as I'm concerned. You don't have to worry about picking the right verbs. You don't have to worry about tone, details, about like how the other person is looking at you. You don't have to worry about that. You can just punt it all in script form. And it worked great. It really did. It worked amazingly. It worked so well that over a span of, what was this, maybe like 2 months, I wrote 22 chapters. 22 chapters is a lot for me. At some point during these weeks, I even made multiple chapters a day, which was a huge step for me. For the first time in years, writing this thing was fun again, and that was in 2024. It's in 2024. And just a while ago, in December, I was like, you know, I'm no longer having fun with this. It started feeling like a chore, but I didn't want to let go because I knew that the amount of happiness I would get from finally finishing this thing, I knew it would far overshadow whatever business I had with this, like whatever business I had with my body rejecting this for some reason, you know? So I was like, okay, you know what? We'll take a different approach again, because that worked last time. And what's my different approach? We're making an audiobook. Why are we making an audiobook? Because there's one thing that I've always been dreaming about, and it's turning my books into movies. Now, I'm not a movie maker. I didn't go to art school. I tried going to art school. I got rejected. I got rejected. I auditioned to become a writer, and I got my ass rejected. They never really gave a reason. They did say that one of the reasons could be that they feel like I don't fit in. Like I'm have a different approach to what they are looking for, which would have been fine. But like I would have liked to know at least, even if they could have just said to my face like, you're not good enough at what you do. I would have accepted it. But this way I was just left wondering. Um, but what's the next best thing to a movie? To me, next best thing to making a movie out of your story is um, just settling for half. Just don't do video, do audio. And I have no illusion that a normal book is somehow less than an audiobook. I think both are amazing, but audiobooks just offer so many things that a normal book can't offer. It's the other way around too sometimes, but in this case, there were things that I was looking for within audio that weren't possible with normal books. Um, so, for example, a big example of something that was never possible with Blacklight is there's this big plot point which is called the Banshee's Wail, and the Banshee's Wail is this weapon that the peacekeepers use to instill fear in people. It's this massive siren that just shakes the entire, it's like shakes the ground when it goes off, and it's just, you have to cover your ears just to like, keep your footing. And it's just this really imposing plot hook. Like, what is the siren? Like, is it just a loud noise, or is there more to it? And like, why is it called the Banshee's Wail? Is it just because it's a loud noise? Like, there were things to that, but all I could really do with normal Blacklight was just talk about it, just give descriptions, like how the character react to it, and that was fine. It worked great even, but I was like, how cool would it be if you could have an actual Banshee's Wail? If I could pull in like 2 or 3 audio engineers and just say like, help. How do you do this? How do you design a sound like that? And that was one of the main drives. I just wanted to give more depth to certain aspects of the world building. I don't know if that makes much sense. Maybe it doesn't, but it's been a lot of fun working on this. Just putting in lines for people to see. Just put. Thank you. Just putting in lines to see for people and record themselves saying. Just listening to auditions. It's so much fun. Like, I've had these characters for years. Imagine having the concept of Alex Gray in your head for 2 years. Just always like writing down his name everywhere and just going back and forth, or like having the concept of the overseer. And then one day you wake up, you go over to your computer, and it's like, oh, this whole casting call club, it's working out. There's actually people auditioning for this thing. And then they go into the submissions and you see this audition for the overseer, and you go in there and you're like, damn, and then they like think, okay, that scratches an itch that nothing else really does. And yeah, I just want to keep seeing where all this goes. Of course, there's still a part of me. I talked about this yesterday as well. It's gay from the other side as well. Is it? Like someone listening to your voice takes? Like, I mean, I would imagine that gives similar catharsis, but... But yeah, I talked about it yesterday as well. I do hope that this whole thing does get some attention. Mostly for the VAs, because the payment parameter is deferred payment, and if I never, I love seeing the creativity people have, and trying to bring their characters to life gives me a sense of happiness. That's really gratifying to hear, because sometimes going into this, at least for me, going into this as a writer, is you sometimes feel like you're giving people chores. This story feels uniquely yours, and then you're trying to share it with people and get them equally excited about it. And sometimes it feels like you are just trying to, like do something impossible. It just feels like no one can be excited about this one thing as you are. And it's yeah, it's great when someone else can be just as excited about it, even if it's for a different reason, right? It doesn't have to be for the same reason, but just being excited about getting to voice a character. That helps for me too. And like I was saying, like with the payment, um, putting it on deferred payment for me was a little bit of a defeat because I had a lot of frustration towards the way that artists are treated, in the sense that oftentimes payment is a luxury and getting any money at all is a godsend, you know? And getting the right amount of money is even more rare. And I hated it. I hated that I went into the project not having any money. I think when I made the listing, I had like 100 euros to my name, and I made the listing and I used 30 euros, which is 30% of my bank account. I used that to get a premium license for Casting Call Club and get the listing featured, because I was like, I'm not taking any chances with this. I need this to happen. And then I realized, wait a second, I'm putting people on the receiving end of that one thing that really grinds my gears. Um, which in turn grinded my gears too, because I felt like a traitor. And I don't know. For a while, I was looking for alternatives. A friend of mine pitched the idea of starting a fundraiser. Um, they suggested that, yes, fundraiser is used for a lot of really serious things, but just as you can raise funds for a game, you can raise funds for other creative projects. And it made sense, but I was like, okay, um, that's probably a good idea, but it never really sat right with me. I don't know. Maybe I'm picky like that. I just, I don't know. Maybe I still should, right? Because I figure I just really want people to get something out of this. That's also why I'm doing these streams. That's why I am trying to talk to people about this project. That's why I'm trying to keep my project in the featured list. Because I figure if I can get more people on board, maybe, just maybe, someone will come along and really, really like it. And if someone likes it a lot, maybe, I don't know. It's selfish too, in a way. It is. It is actually a little bit selfish because um, a lot of this desire for a project to be seen comes from this idea that I wanted to become a professional writer. I wanted to do this for my job. And I did for a while, but in the worst way imaginable. I became a PR writer. I was a marketing writer and I hated it. It was great. I'm still thankful that I got to do that instead of just a normal like 9 to 5 supermarket job, because it saved my ass like mentally. But um, yeah, I just wanted nothing more, and I still kind of want nothing more than to be a full-time professional writer. And I'm willing to work for that. And apparently, I'm also willing to sell out some of my ideals, which I don't like. But I guess it's a steep price to pay for salvation. But yeah, I just hope it takes off. For my sake, but also the people who are working on it. Because if it takes off, then this thing might actually generate some revenue, and then I can actually pay y'all. So yeah, that's the plan. Get noticed. Get at least a little bit of revenue out of this, even if it's just like 20 bucks. And turn this thing around. So that's where we're headed. Man, that turned kind of deep at the end there. Let's backpedal a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think forward. Although it gets pretty difficult sometimes. Because I hate the word satisfied market because it implies that there's like this kind of finite border as to where there's too much art, which I think is bullshit. I think there's never too much art. I don't think there's ever too much writing, too much drawing, there's any too much voice actors. I don't think that exists. Just the term satisfied market comes from a place of feeling like everything needs to generate money. And the reason that I want this to generate money is so that people can actually pay their bills and have a decent life. That's why I wanted to do this professionally, because I was like, if I can have both, you know, if I can have a decent life and art, then that would be great. Like those two together. But um, in the end, it's honestly terrifying how um, the creative sector is oftentimes defined by its ability to generate revenue. And I think that's not cool, because it drives creators and like writers and just creatives in general, it drives them to seek those numbers and to feel like nothing at times when those numbers don't show up. And I don't think that's a good way of looking at it at all. But I'm guilty of it too. Again, like I just said, I'm guilty of it too. But yeah. Alright. What time is it? It's 23:30. I have streamed for little over 2 hours, which is half an hour longer than yesterday. I think I'm gonna keep going for a little bit longer, but I don't know what I'm gonna be doing. Alright, let's take a look real quick at some things, because I need to keep track of my listings as well. Let's just do that on here. Okay. Chilling? We are in fact chilling, people. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Wow. I just zoned out so hard there. For a second, it was almost like I was doing my own thing, but I'm not really doing my own thing. Well, I am doing my own thing, but in a different context. I'm just gonna close this. So, I think that's really everything I wanted to talk about. Is there anything I neglected about the project? I don't think so. I would like to maybe get the VAs on this stream at some point in some way. I don't know how I'm gonna do that, or if everyone would be up for it, because I'd be nervous. I'm nervous right now, and I'm the one hosting this darn thing. But, yeah. I don't know. Maybe that would be fun. Would that be fun? I don't know. Yeah. Maybe we can do like I was going to say maybe we can do like a Q&A thing, and then I will pretend that I'm actually gonna get questions, and then I'll like have my own list of questions as well. But yeah, we could figure something out. We can just see who would be up for that. And I should maybe think about streaming to YouTube. Uh, I don't know if my PC would be able to handle, like my connection would be able to handle streaming to two platforms at once, to be honest. I think it might shit a brick, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make, I think. Um, yeah. Okay, we'll look into that when the time comes. Right now, I'm streaming on the daily, but uh, next week I'm gonna have to go back to school, which is gonna suck. Okay. Uh, yeah, that's gonna suck. Balancing that because I gotta look at my schedule and ooh, it's not letting up, fellas. It's not letting up, so that's probably gonna end up being a weekend job. But that's fine. And it's like the big, the the chunk, the not the chunk, but like the bulk of the people who would possibly home in on this stream would be people from the USA probably. Like that's like the bulk of it. And my streaming times, like right now, it's pretty much midnight for me, and it's almost 6 o'clock in the evening for those people, and they might start watching Twitch streams around maybe 8 o'clock for them. So that's 2 hours from now. Like that's 2 in the night for me. Uh, yeah, yeah. So time to do night shifts, maybe, just maybe. But yeah, oof, school, and it's going to be it's almost fieldwork season again as well, so it's gonna be funny. Yeah, true. Maybe people watch doing work. I don't know how many people that is. It might be like a devious amount of people, but oh, and um, this stream is under the writing tab, the writing and reading tab, which is not a very popular tab. So maybe I would get more attention if I put it on the just chatting tab. Does that make sense? Maybe it does. Maybe it does. I don't know. Cause like putting this in here and like putting it in the writing tab was like, yeah, that fits. But then I was thinking, wait a second, who the hell watches that? Who watches the writing tab? I don't think a lot of people do. Yeah, I might just put it on the just chatting thing later. Wait, actually, social experiment. I can swap categories right now. Watch this. 1 second. Watch this. Uh, yes. Yes. Done. Bonk. Okay, we're now in the just chatting section. Just for the sake of making this social experiment. This is going to be such a weird stream to walk into if you're just listening to people talking to the camera, because I don't even have a camera. Which I will probably never have, by the way, because uh, is that a, I'm about to use a term which I'm not even sure is real. Give me a second. We're researching this now. Does this exist? Scopophobia. Is that an actual thing? Yeah, this. Why is that the image that shows up? Oh, wait. Oh, that's kind of freaky. I don't know if I like that, but yeah, like fear of being stared at, like fear of being watched, right? Like I I hate cameras for this specific reason. Um and yeah. I have never had a webcam here on Twitch. I haven't had a webcam on YouTube even, and I've been making YouTube videos since before I was making Twitch streams. So, yep, yeah. Well, maybe sometime, right? Because of the camera, you don't like being in shot. You don't like being on the big silver screen. I mean, I guess you can still be on the silver screen, right? Because you can like voice, you can voice in like an animated movie or something. But you wouldn't want to be like a quote unquote normal actor, I guess. Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. So far, this experiment isn't going great. We have been in this section for maybe like 2 minutes, and we haven't had any new viewers. I try not to look at the viewer count, but I'm looking at the viewer count right now because I want to know if this is effective. But I think next time I'm just gonna have to start my stream in this section. I remember once someone said to me, if you want to make it big in a category, you have to start streaming when almost no one is streaming, and then when like the big spike happens, you're going to be at the top of the page. And I was like, man, that makes sense. But I've got a cheat code here, because I am awake way before the Americans are. So I can start streaming way before like all the people over in the far west are awake, and that means I can be maybe top of the page if I was streaming consistently and did fun things on the stream and was interesting to look at. Then maybe I could, but yeah, abuse the algorithm, right? Abuse the algorithm or it abuses you. I'm slowly getting sick of this jazz and lo-fi playlist in the background, but my fear is that I don't exactly know how copyright things work on Twitch. I looked up an article earlier and like the actual Twitch guidelines, and they said that basically all copyrighted music just cannot be used. And I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense, but am I then just going to like have to look up individually for each song I use if it's copyrighted? Yes, unless you could just use a playlist full of non-copyright songs, and that's what I'm doing right now. But it's just lo-fi and smooth jazz, and I'm done with the jazz. I'm saying it. I've been listening to jazz for like 3 hours. Okay, okay. Are there different music options? Hold on, please hold. Copyright free playlists. Techno. We got techno. Do we like techno in this house? Fellas, do we like techno in this house? I don't know. Fuck it, techno. The song's ended. We're trying this. I mean, it's definitely something else. Let's turn it up a little bit. Okay, it's a little bit too aggressive. It's a little bit too much for when I'm trying to talk over it. How about this? Oh, that beat is going to drop soon. Copyright free jazz. Why is so much of this jazz? have synthwave. Oh, here we got this like random songs that have entered the public domain apparently. The best copyright-free music safe to use on YouTube or Twitch streams. Royalty-free, no copyright sounds, and safe to use, free to use free music. Okay. Funky. That's 90 hours worth of music. Let's try that. I don't know. Not really my kind of music. I'm more of like a rock person, but oh, it's better than nothing. Is there like copyright free rock? Hold on. Yes! Yeah, this is more my thing. I'm just going to leave it on this until it gives me a good reason not to leave it on that. I think game soundtracks are also fine. Up until like a certain point, I think game soundtracks are fine. Oh, what the hell? Hold on, 1 second. I just got followed by someone. I heard a little sound ding. Keep viewers on... Oh. What's happening there? No! No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Wait, how do I... No! I don't want you here. How do I remove? Like, those are bots. How do I, like, get you out of here? Ban. Here we go. The bot has been removed. But I got followed by a person. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Belexis Eox. I think. I'm gonna assume they're still here. I'm gonna assume it's not a bot. I'm just gonna assume and I'm gonna say thank you. Thank you for just being around, I guess? Yes, thank you. I'm getting a bit tired, so I'm sorry if I'm getting a bit slow. Alright. Yeah. I'm starting to wonder if the actual viewer count is fully 100% accurate. I'm going to assume it is. It probably is accurate. Yeah, it's probably accurate. It is. Okay, cool. Because I think when I enter my own stream and then go back to the viewer count, I think it actually goes up by 1. Yeah, okay. Alright. What was I doing? Oh, right. The experiment. Yeah. It's going about as expected. I should probably have been streaming on this one to begin with, but right now we're not really getting... The stream's not really getting any attention, which makes a lot of sense, right? Because it's just a screensaver with a block of text, and I'm talking over it, so, like, makes sense to me. That's not entirely what people are looking for, methinks. I don't even have a webcam. So, yeah, makes sense. I guess next time I'll have to start streaming on here and then kind of hope that someone gets curious, right? Next time for sure, yes. There was like this one time when I was streaming, I think I was streaming Grounded, and I had like 7 viewers, but I think that 5 out of those 7 people were my friends who were just sitting in the background just listening quietly, and I have no way of verifying, so I'm just going to choose to believe that I had 7 viewers once upon a time. Also, this is gonna change the music again. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, next time for sure though. I think so. I hope so. Otherwise, I'm going to buy bot viewers. JK, JK. I wouldn't actually do that because I'd hate myself forever. And also, I don't have the money for it. So, like, even if I wanted to, right? Don't worry, I would never cheat because I'm broke. Can't buy a good wall hack because I'm broke. I could just play a game for like 30 minutes and then call it quits. But I don't know what game I'd play. What games are popular nowadays? What do people play? Do people still play CS2? I think so, right? Clickbait titles? Should we use clickbait titles? What could bait people into clicking? Free RAM to download in bio. What else? I don't know what else you could put in the title to clickbait. Maybe like a really attractive lady in the title, and then like the thumbnail, and then just have like the just chatting thing, and then just be like first stream, which is not. So that would be. I mean, maybe. I don't know how that works. All right. Okay. Um. But yeah, what games do people play these days? Like, what are the games that people play? Let me start up Steam and ask Gaben himself what games people play. What's being played? Show me. Uh, Marvel Rivals is being played, but I don't have that. Oh, it's free. Not really interested though. I'm not really good in games like that. Aloft is new. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. Is that a game people actually play? I don't think that's a game people actually play. Is it? No, it's got way too. It doesn't have nearly enough reviews. Or did it get released way more recently than I thought it did? This was. Frontiers of Pandora was on the 17th of June. Yeah, that's like way, way back when. It looks cool though, like in the sense of the graphics look really pretty. Like, look at these. It's pretty, but like, you see? It looks pretty. Is that a backward grip on the bow? That's cool. Like, I knew that existed in like history, in like historic text, but I never seen it being used in like a game. This guy looks like one of those magma spitters from whatever they're called, like magma throwers in um Satisfactory. They're like the boys that would like throw balls of lava at you. It looks really impressive. Whoa. So why are people not playing it? What's wrong with this? on a managed application. Oh. Okay. Alright, so the gist of it appears to be that it's a really resource heavy game, so that's not good. Uh, and also, which makes sense, I guess, if you look at the graphics, it looks like it requires a lot of resources. But then also, it's apparently kinda mid. It's just normal, you know, like it's just normal Ubisoft RPG core, I guess. And I guess that's why people don't really play it. Hmm. I could become a CSGO streamer. I'm no good at it. I really suck. But I don't know. I could become an Elden Ring streamer. I also suck at Elden Ring, but I suck a little bit less. Uh, okay. Um, yeah, okay. So, for now, I don't think I'm going to start Elden Ring or anything. I think I'm just going to be closing the stream. Because I did everything I wanted to do, and I think then maybe next time I'm going to take a different approach to it or something. Also, oh, the music is not that loud. I thought for a second it was kind of loud. But I'll just turn it down a little bit. And next time, I'm gonna start this stream probably with a different campaign plan. Um, I'll figure something out. And that'll probably be tomorrow because I used to have stuff to do tomorrow, but not anymore, so that's chilling. We're chilling. Um, yeah. Let's turn off the music for a second so you can actually hear me. And so we can just have a calm end to the stream instead of like a really hyperactive outro song. Um, yeah. Uh, I guess that was stream 2 of the Blacklight project. I just realized this VOD is going to be uploaded to YouTube as well, and it's going to be on here. And the last like half hour of the stream was such a fever dream. I'm sorry. Um, but I'm not sorry. And you're gonna have to deal with it because this is what I'm putting on my YouTube channel, and uh, I was going to say I don't care, but I care. So we're just gonna see how that all fits in. But yeah, it's been fun. Don't think it was a bad stream. It was actually a pretty decent stream. So okay, yeah, yeah, happy camper. So yeah, thank you for dropping by, Stalin. It was nice having someone to talk to at least. So that's great. Uh, Hopefully next time there'll be more people, and even if there are not, then I guess it doesn't matter because I'm gonna be doing this anyway. Uh, Goodbye for now, and I'll talk to y'all later. Hope I can make it next time too. Yeah, well, I'll still like put in the message in the Discord, so you'll see if you're available. Then you can check in. If you're not, then you know, whatever. It'll work out either way. Yeah, but that's it. So official outro. Uh, I'm not gonna give you my name because my name is probably somewhere in your screen right now. This was stream number 2 for the Blacklight project, and here's to hopefully many more streams to come, and a healthy project, and healthy voice actors. So goodbye. Goodbye. And there we